What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. Thanks for pressing play. Today we are going to fix something on the Ram TRX that I think it definitely needs. It's definitely going to help a lot of people out there looking for more light output, and we're going to do it on the cheap. Let's get right into it. All right, guys, so we are here in PA and we're enjoying a somewhat nice day. It is almost 70 degrees here in Pennsylvania. That's fantastic because that means this baby gets to come out really soon. But it's not about that today. We are going to be talking about the TRX and increasing its light output. Now, what I mean by increasing its light output is we're going to install some ditch lights on this truck. There are a bunch of different options out there for most trucks, but for this truck, there's only a couple actual brackets that will fit the hood to allow you to add ditch lights. There are a bunch of different ditch lights on the market, and we found a set that's really reliable at a really good price. Let's take a look at what we're going to be doing today. Absolutely loving the custom floor from Epoxy Depot, guys. Check that out. That's my logo underneath the top coat of my epoxy garage floor here. So definitely check them out. Link in the description below if you're interested in getting your garage customized like this. But here's what we're going to be doing today, guys. This is a ditch light kit from Lasfit. You can get the kit from them, but I will warn you right up front, their brackets for the TRX do not fit. I had to reach out to another company to get the ditch brackets, and this is them here. Now we're going to talk about the Lasfit kit first, because minus the brackets, the kit is pretty freaking awesome. As you can see, this is the box that comes in. This is the wiring harness that we're going to be talking a lot about today, because 90% of this you don't even need for this particular install on the TRX at least. So we're going to go ahead and unbox these things. I've already taken a look at them. They are super freaking high quality. I use a lot of bulbs from Lasfit in my Corvettes, as well as in my Colorado I had back in the day. And actually, speaking of the Colorado, let me insert a picture here showing you why I want these ditch lights so bad, because I absolutely loved them on my Colorado. Now, those ditch lights you're looking at were actually from Diode Dynamics, and they were pretty expensive. With that said, they were very high quality, but taking a look at the Lasfit bulbs here, these are much more adequately priced, and they seem like they are just as good quality, if not better. I have not seen the light output yet, but quality-wise, they're built very sound. Of course, in this video, we're going to go ahead and install all this stuff. We're also going to test it out at night. I'm going to show you all what you can expect to see with this particular kit on your TRX. But of course, we can't have a ditch light kit without some ditch light brackets, and that's where these guys come in. And just picking this up is just absolutely screaming of quality, guys. So SDHQ, I reached out to them to send over the ditch brackets, and they did. And they did in really quick fashion too, guys. So as you can see, they are bent a billion different ways to fit that Ram TRX hood. But the thing that really stands out to me is this right here. So these are actually rubber grommets that will sit up against the bottom side of your hood. So number one, they're going to prevent vibration. Number two, they're going to prevent metal on metal contact. I love when companies go above and beyond for something that is otherwise just a piece of metal. Big shout out to SDHQ, guys. They make some awesome off-road parts for the TRX, but in this case, it's going to be the ditch lights. We're going to get these installed right after we unbox the Lasfit ditch lights. So like you can see here, this is the box that yours would arrive in as well. I, in this particular case, chose the Lasfit ditch lights that are also their brightest option. These are going to be a flood style light. I wanted something that's going to cast more light into the ditches and things like that while driving. The headlights do an absolutely awesome job of keeping light down the road or down the trail in this case. These will help keep light off to the side to make sure anything coming from the ditches you're going to have better visibility on. These are obviously a 3-inch LED pod. These are their 36 watt options. So basically, these are as bright as you can possibly get from Lasfit. And as you can see, the quality of even the packaging is pretty good, but we can go ahead and continue with the unboxing here, remove the actual ditch light from the packaging, which comes very nicely packaged. As you can see, you've got the actual bracket for the ditch light right here, which is, again, powder coated black, so everything will match what's on the truck currently. And we can go ahead and pull the pod out to see all of the actual quality of this thing. I'm trying to get this to focus. This just looks absolutely fantastic. Very, very nicely built out of all aluminum, all powder coated black, of course. And even the pigtail is a wire coming out of the back instead of just a plug on the back the way it was on the Diode Dynamics. I prefer this method because it's less likely to get anything messed up in here versus this hiding underneath the hood. You can kind of see the quality here. It is very, very nice. So real quick, before we actually do get these installed, there is a little bit of an installation or setup to the ditch lights themselves. As you can see here, there is actually a color instruction manual here showing you how to set up the bolts and get the bracket bolted to the ditch light here. And it also says up here all of the wattage information. So like I said, I have the 36 watt HP set up, and it also does require 16 gauge or larger wire. So I think we're going to be wiring this to the auxiliary light in the TRX, the bigger of the 6. So for those of you who don't know, there are a couple of the auxiliary buttons that are set up for handling higher wattage stuff, and then at least 2 of them that are set up for handling lower wattage. I think we're going to put this on a thicker one just because since I have a level 2 RAM, my ditch lights are also limited to 4 buttons. The other 2 are wired up, but as far as I can tell, there's no way to actually turn them on, which is kind of weird. But anyway, what we're going to do here is just grab the supplied Allen screw, a locking washer, a regular flat washer, and then we'll put that in through the bracket here, and then put one more washer on the back side before ultimately screwing it into the pre-threaded hole on the side of the ditch light. And for a little bit more of a close-up, you can see what I was talking about there. Lock washer, regular washer, and then on the other side of the bracket, a washer, and then we'll go ahead and start just tightening these things in with the supplied Allen key. All right, so as you can see here, these 2 bolts are both 13 millimeter, and those have to be just loosened in this situation because this bracket actually has the holes here cut out, so you can just slide them on once you get those bolts loosened. Obviously, you're going to want to watch where the placement of the stock bolts were, where the bracket's at. The paint will kind of show you where that goes, but just keep an eye on it. You could mark it off with painter's tape if you want to make sure that it gets back right into the same exact position, but we can go ahead and slide this in now. So this is with the bracket in place. As you can see, this one here actually has to be slid in first, and then the more top side bolt will just push on. But that one has more of a slit in it where it has to be slid in first and then that pushed in. So just to give it a little bit more stability, we're gonna go ahead and tighten down the bolts, but this is what it's gonna look like from the outside here. Like I said, just super high quality stuff. It's gonna really match even the texture of the TRX hood vents and things like that. So it looks really good even without the dish lights. So like I said, guys, 13 millimeter nuts right there and right there. Just loosen them up and then we can go ahead and slide the bracket in. So we'll take the bracket, come through the top here, come underneath. You want to go underneath the washer tube there, and then we're going to immediately slide it right underneath the far end screw. So that back part has to go in first, slide in, and then push over just like that. Then we can tighten up the screws. And here it is with just the brackets installed. So that's all that you'll see popping up through. If you look at that bracket though, seriously high quality stuff, guys. It looks freaking awesome on there. So let's go ahead and get the ditch lights installed, and then we are ready to go. So as you can see, we got the brackets in place. One ditch light is already on over on the passenger side, but I wanted to show you guys how to do this just in case you've never mounted ditch lights before. This bolt goes through the bottom of the bracket here, and it's kind of hard to see, but you can see on the bottom there's welds in place that will hold the top of the hex head of this bolt in place. So you can then slide on the washer, the locking ring, and then ultimately the nut at the bottom. I'm doing this all kind of one person, so it's a little bit tough to show exactly what we're doing here, but ultimately this is going to go right here. The bolt is going to go down through the hole on the SDHQ ditch bracket, and then we're going to put the locking washer, and nut on the bottom. Not in that order though. It would go nut, locking washer, and then washer. So here goes the washer, the locking washer, and the hardest part, the nuts. Because you got to hold all this stuff in place and also get enough room for your finger under there. Got it. So from here, we would just align them up, tighten them down. So I'll just put this on here finger tight so you guys can see kind of what we're doing here, but that's going to be it right there. Now the pigtail obviously has to go down inside the engine bay to get wired up to the aux buttons inside the truck. So they're not wired up, they're not necessarily even leveled yet, but they're already looking pretty good. We're gonna go ahead and wire them up, and then ultimately at the end here, I'm gonna show you an at night kind of view so you can see how much light these actually provide. I haven't seen how much light these particular ones provide yet, but I have seen them in the past on my Colorado. Like I said, I was using the Diode Dynamics ones. They actually provided quite a bit of light, so I'm expecting these will do the same. Moment of truth here, guys. We're gonna open the hood and see if those things hit. They shouldn't, but let's see what happens here. It's going up, going up, going up, and there it is. So that's the clearance you got. Now, obviously, I still have to run that wire, so you'll have, that's about almost an inch of clearance, really. The brackets underneath here, if you guys want to see those a little closer. Trying to get as much of this documented as possible, but I don't want this video to be 4 hours long either. So next I want to do the wiring, and again, my TRX comes with 4 of the aux switches. We're going to pull this bundle of wires out, and we're probably going to wire it into aux 1 just because I don't have anything else wired in yet, and I like the idea of starting at 1. So here's again the pigtail from the Lasfit. That's what we got right there. And then we're going to cut up the wiring because all we really need is a ground and a power to run to the aux wire here. The kit comes with built-in fuse, built-in relay, all that stuff. We don't need any of that because these wires here are already fused, already relayed, so we don't need to do any special wiring here, which is really cool. But anyway, let's get into the wiring. Now, this is the package of wires that Lasfit includes with our ditch lights, and yeah, we are not going to need all this. All we really need is these 2 plugs. So I'm going to cut these off with a little bit of wire to spare just so we can kind of run them the way we want to run them, but ultimately these 2 are the only things we need. So with the 2 power plugs cut out, this is what we still have left. There is a good bit of wiring here, so you can see there's a relay, there's a fuse, there's a ground wire, a power wire, and then even an actual switch. So we won't need any of that, which is why I said the auxiliary switches make this a lot easier to wire up. So here we are at the wiring aspect of this particular install, and you can see the pack of auxiliary wires here. We got some grounds right here that we'll be able to tap into, or even just use the ground off the battery. This is taped up in a way that you got to kind of cut it out. So as you can see, it's not coming out by itself. It's kind of attached to the wires that go to the fuse box and everything. I removed the fuse box lid to hopefully give us a little more access, but it didn't seem to do a whole lot, so never mind that. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and cut the electrical tape here. My only concern is keeping that paper right there visible, or not destroyed at least, because it does tell you what color wire is which aux switch. So the one we're going to most likely use here is aux 1, like I said, and that's going to be pink and dark blue. You can see the writing right there. I will take a picture of this just so I have it for the future use, but otherwise we're going to have to cut that off. All right, we got it. Definitely interesting that we can have this kind of a factory option. We did manage to save some of the list here, so for those of you out there wondering in the future, auxiliary 1 is pink and dark blue, and auxiliary 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are still visible there. On the passenger side, we can see right here, there is the loose connection from the ditch light. I have it zip tied to a wire harness here just so it'll give it a little bit of slack when the hood's open, but it will ultimately hide that wire a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and take the wire that we cut earlier. We kind of cut it to kind of right at the very end of the wire process there that it had, just because this is the passenger side. It's gonna have to run all the way from here over to that auxiliary line we were just messing with. So for now, we're just gonna go ahead, plug this in just like that, and it makes a really nice solid connection because, like I said, it is that weatherproof connector. We're gonna go ahead and run these wires from the passenger side over to the driver's side where the auxiliary wires are, because there's a lot of stuff in here. We have to feed it under and over and under, and you can't do that if both sides are obviously connected. What I have found is right here, I can push the wire back behind, run it underneath the coolant here, zip tie it to this little loop right there, run it over here a little bit further, and then start pushing it back on top of this plastic wire loom cover that runs over the supercharger. And it's in there pretty securely because these push clips pop down underneath enough that it will stop the wire from just randomly falling out onto the supercharger. All right, so wire is ran. I ran it all the way along underneath there and then zip tied it right to the wire harness there, then ran it alongside the battery, pushed it down in between the fuse box and the battery box right there, and that puts it right where we need it. Now from here, I'm going to tie both of the grounds together along to a ground loop wire, which will then get grounded probably right to those ground wires right there. I'm going to solder these connections and then also heat shrink them. So I got to take this apart for a second to put some of the heat shrink tubing on it. I'm going to also solder these, and then we're going to do the same thing with the positive wire here. So we got one from the passenger side, and then of course the other one from the driver's side. We're going to tie those together and then snip the end that is heat shrunk off of the stock auxiliary 1 switch, pull back the casing on that, splice it together with the 3 of these, solder it, and reheat shrink it, and then we should be good to go. That's a lot to show on camera, so I'm just going to do it through the power of internet magic, and the next time you see me, it'll be done. All right, guys, so we are all done. We've got the wires run, so you can see the driver's side runs down right there. I zip tied it to the windshield washer tube, ran it down right there, down behind the battery, and ultimately to the connection we made here, soldered and heat shrunk and then grounded right here. Now this is going to be aux 1, like I said, it's the purple and blue wire. So we're about to test it out. So inside the truck, you can see the ditch lights. They're somewhat visible, pretty much the way they were on my Colorado. And we're gonna go ahead and hit the ignition. We're gonna turn it on, but we're not gonna start the truck just because it does have to have the ignition on for these to work. So here we go. Let's see, we're gonna press auxiliary 1. It says it's on. Let's see if they're on. And there they are. Super easy wiring setup. And yeah, they are definitely bright. Holy cow. So not really gonna come through on camera real well, but I'm gonna show you tonight how bright these things are because they are blinding. Holy crap. That's awesome. That's gonna provide a lot of extra light, guys. But before we do the night shot of the ditch lights, guys, I do wanna throw in one more mod, kind of small, but it does its job, and it's this. So a little bit of an American flag looking cover for the hole that's in the side rails on the TRX. I already have one in here just to make sure that they were going to fit. They actually fit pretty nicely. So you can see there that is perfectly flush. Just set it in there, smack it down, and it goes with my whole American flag theme here. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one in, set it into place, give it a few whacks. There it is. So stake pocket covered with these particular covers. These were on Amazon. Of course, I'll link everything in the description down below. But anyway, I'm gonna head into the truck and go do some business. When I come back, it should be nighttime. We're gonna then test out the beautiful ditch lights. I love the way they look. They look like they're gonna be pretty freaking bright. Big thumbs up to Lasfit and of course SDHQ for providing the brackets. These things look awesome on the truck. Yeah, I'm really digging them. Big thumbs up. All right, so here we are in the truck, guys. That is the normal light output for just the headlights. Obviously, the lights are still on the interior here, but as soon as they shut off, we're gonna do accessory mode here, and we're gonna see just how bright just the ditch lights are. So auxiliary 1, here we go. Wow, look at that. Good God. Those things are insanely bright. That's just the ditch lights. You can see them kind of reflecting on the hood a little bit. Man, that's bright. That's brighter than the headlights. Let's see what the headlights look like. So there's the headlights plus the ditch lights. Wow, that's insane. All right, let's see what the high beams. And high beams are pretty good too. With the ditch lights. Yeah, it just adds more lighting off to the side. Man, that's bright though. That's insane. Let's see what it looks like from the outside. This is going to be hard to really even tell because the camera is going to make it look dimmer than it really is. Oh, man. Man, is that bright. Holy crap. Well, you're never going to have problems with the amount of usable light on a trail or, in my case, on a snowy Pennsylvania day. Man, those are insane. Wow. Big thumbs up to Lasfit. They knocked it out of the park with these things. Super bright. And just like that, guys, it is the next day. So I got to show you a little bit of what these lights can output at night, but I wanted to talk one more time real quick about them because you can see 2 small Allen screws there on the left and right of the face of the ditch light. And those are there specifically for changing out the color of the lens. So you can change it out from the clear lens that I have here to a yellow lens, which of course will give it a more amber fit for like the daytime running lights if you haven't changed the amber like I do, but it's mostly for like fog driving. So if you have a foggy condition, the yellow lens will apparently cut through the fog a little bit better. Personally, I just wanted it for extra light output during those dark winter days and some trail driving that I will be doing eventually with this truck. But again, just wanted to give a big thank you to Lasfit for hooking us up, SDHQ for hooking us up with those ditch brackets. This is a really, really cool look. I'm really digging the way that they look on the truck. The quality of them seems to be really good. The way that it was also wired up in the truck with the auxiliary wires and the auxiliary buttons, really an easy job to complete. But that's about it, guys. So if you liked what you saw, please smash that thumbs up button. Let me know you're liking the content so I can keep doing these kind of TRX mods for you. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. I'm gonna have loads of TRX and of course Corvette content coming you're not gonna wanna miss. And as always, I will catch you in the next upload.